That I used in my statement. Spaces can be seen as concrete material forms to be mapped, analyzed, or explained, or as mental constructs, ideas about and representations of space and its social significance. Third space is a sequence of intellectual, observed, and experienced journeys. Like the photographer who was here before, all of my work has a story and a reason for being, and that those reasons mostly have to do with being out in the landscape. And I key on the things that I see or forms. I'm very taken by stuff in the landscape that is so huge that you can't even fathom it. And when I work with the landscape, I want to push that so far forward onto the surface of the picture plane that as a viewer or tourist or person observing the thing, you feel like there's no space for yourself. And that's why my work is so dark, and that's why there's very little space around the form. And then I throw in these little things, you know, edges, little marks, this and that, and that's where we can exist, in the narrow spaces, in the edges, in the margins. A lot of people know that from having an experience that is other than being white, but we all have that experience of being crowded and not having space. And the Guardians are here because, I mean, we give them names, we do dances around them, we animate them, we think they're watching us, they're looking out for us, or they're dangerous to us, but they're really just rocks or forms or something. And so any meaning that they have is a lot of times our imagined meaning, but real nonetheless, if you consider the theories of third space. Some of these are imagined, some of them are, you know, I saw Stonehenge in 1991 and it brought me to tears, and I was taken by how huge those forms were. Anyway, rather than keep talking, I'll open it up for questions, and then we can talk as the afternoon goes on. Because this didn't work. Either way, that didn't work.
I think you need to email me that.
What's that?
Okay, so some of the most intriguing and interesting work is obsessive in nature.
Is what?
Is obsessive in nature.
Yes.
And I think that that's inherent in a lot of what you do. But you also brought up this idea that you set limits when you're looking at a specific project. So can you talk a little bit to like maybe some of those limits that you would set? Is it content? Is it subject matter? Is it maybe just mark making?
Well, one of the limits, so the first limit that I place is that when I see something, you know, if I see a form and I think, oh, maybe I could use that in an image, maybe I can, I try to reduce that. But one of my main rules is that I want to reduce it to what strikes me personally. It might not be the essence of it, but for me, it's the essence of that form. So I try to reduce it. I really just want to eliminate this stuff. I don't do well with Renaissance perspective, and you know, I can work that way. It doesn't interest me to work that way, so I don't. That doesn't answer the question.
It does. I'd like to, because that's what I wanted to hear you say. You know, you take these dark forms, you take these larger than life forms that have an impact on you, and you try to get right down to their bare minimum, their essence. You know,
well, I went out with a friend doing some photography. I do take photos. I had someone ask me last night whether I ever go out and sketch if I sketch when I'm out seeing things. And I never do. I never sketch when I'm out in front of a thing. Because I want my my impression of whatever it is I saw to be my impression that's lasting with me a week later, a year later. Some of this stuff that shows up, I might have thought about in 1972, and if it was that important to me that I'm still thinking about it, 30 years later or 5 years later or whatever. I like that. I like that distance. I like coming at it indirectly.
So,